Hey everybody, what is going on? It is Sunday, October 15th, 2023, and you're listening to episode 31 of Black Box Signal. Flying solo this week. As always, your host, Chase Johnson. Thank you for having me back this week. I appreciate it. Dustin is out planning his wedding, so I think I mentioned on last week that you're going to give him a week off. Next couple weeks off, actually, because he needs to, plan the wedding, then enjoy his wedding next weekend, and then have some time with his lovely wife to be, the weekend after. So he's going to be skipping out the next 3 episodes. I'm actually going to be taking next week off because I'm in his wedding. So little programming note there. We're going to be taking next week off, period. So, but yeah, not too much going on with me. My daughter had another belt test in karate. She passed, so that's pretty cool. It was a lot shorter than the last few because there weren't as many kids testing, which is nice because some of those belt tests go a really long time. I think her first one went like, I want to say 3 hours or something, 3 or 4 hours. And her first karate tournament, that was super long, ungodly long. But she got a gold medal in that, so worth it. Yeah, don't really got a whole lot else going on. Just getting the wedding ready for Dustin, giving him his time. Starting to think about like what we're gonna do for the end of the year. If we're gonna do like the game of the year stuff before Christmas, if we're gonna wait and do it a little after Christmas. I think the way that it's shaking up right now, I would like to have it before Christmas because I feel all the games that we're gonna want to play for 2023 that I'm gonna want to play at least are gonna be finished up before Christmas, so I'll be able to speak on them. Not that you necessarily have to finish a game to speak on a game, on what you think of it, but and then also want to try to get we want to get Brandon back, since he started this thing this year with me, so it would be nice to have the 3 of us on there, but yeah, I guess with that we can just go ahead and get into some video games. Does that sound good? Why am I asking? It's just me. So I finished up the story. Me and my wife actually both finished up the story of Mortal Kombat 1. Um I think I was saying last week that I was a little disappointed in kind of the ending, or not the ending, but Shang Tsung being revealed. Spoilers. We'll mark that down there. Um that of Shang Tsung being the kind of main antagonist once again, after them stating that they were going to try to like tell a new story. I was a little disappointed with that. um the ending, it was if I'm going to be honest, it was a little anticlimactic, I feel. It does do some kind of cool things with like the final rounds. You're fighting like alternate, because all these timelines now are like fighting each other. You kind of find out that there's not just 2 timelines, there's multiple timelines. So you start to gather people from multiple timelines, and so does Shang Tsung. So you're starting to see like a female version of Johnny Cage. There's like fusion versions of different characters. I'm trying to think of a good example of one, but I cannot remember like right off the top of my head. Like they had a version that was like a cross between like Shang Tsung or Quan Chi and Sub Zero. Um, there was ones that were like Goro and Shao Kahn mixed. Katana was fused. It's just a bunch. Yeah, there's like 15 or so fights. Um, but um, yeah, it kind of ended the way you'd expect. The last chapter, you get to pick whatever fighter you want, and then you fight your way through the end of it. Shang Tsung being the final boss. You beat him. Credits scroll, yada yada yada. Realm is safe for now. Johnny Cage plans on making a movie out of it. But then the credits scroll, and then you get a scene of Titan Havoc, because they kind of explained that there was Titans from every timeline. So basically, like, depending on who, um, I said in the last episode, like the fight was between Liu Kang and Shang Tsung. Shang Tsung won his timeline, Liu Kang won his. Well, there's a bunch of variations. So Katana won hers, Raiden won his, yada yada yada. It shows Titan Havoc, basically, and he's like a cross between like Havoc and Shao Kahn at this point. Which I always felt Havoc to be kind of like just an okay character. Um, but from what I can tell, it seems like they're going back down like the Deadly Alliance slash Deception route. That we might see like Onaga in the next one. So it's like they're kind of retelling the same stories once again instead of doing an actual full like new story. So I felt overall that's a little anticlimactic. Not to say that I'm not excited for the next one. This one played really well. The story was pretty good up until that point. But just a little bit of a bummer for me. I would still say that maybe the last Mortal Kombat, even though I didn't play it, from what I hear from the story, would probably be a little bit better just because they did something different. But I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see with Mortal Kombat 2, if they're gonna call it Mortal Kombat 2, what they're gonna do next. Um, so I think like all the nods say that they're probably gonna go the deception route, which would bring back Shujinko, who is a cameo character in this, so kind of a nod to that. Onaga, who's like the dragon guy. Look, just go back and look up the PS2 era Mortal Kombat's, the 3D fighters, Deadly Alliance and Deception. That'll kind of go into that. And then maybe Armageddon. But then the other game that I've actually been playing a lot, and I have to thank my employer again for getting this for me. I had some points at my job to get these, but get this. But I mentioned this on the actual stream for it. I haven't played as many indie games as I wanted to this year, so I really wanted to pick something up. And Cocoon just came out. And a lot of people were playing it on like the PS5 and stuff and in the PC, but I actually purposely got it on my Switch because I was just curious to see how it would run. Um, it runs pretty well. Little framey in spots, but not too terribly bad. I have a stream up of it now, up on the Black Box channel. If you want to check it out, but essentially, basically it's a puzzle game. It's like a puzzle platformer. And you're like this little bug person thing. You spawn out of a cocoon. And there's only one button, which is A, on the Nintendo Switch anyway. So I guess it would be probably circle or X on PlayStation, and maybe A or B on Xbox. If it's on Xbox, I think it's on Xbox. But the gimmick of it is you're collecting these orbs. Like, I just got my third orb, but each orb actually houses a world. So you're warping in and out of the world, each world, and sometimes you're like doing some like crazy Inception shit where like you're bringing one of the orbs within another orb, so it's like a world within a world. Because you also need to use these orbs to like, you know, you need to place an orb in a spot to make a lift work, or to make pillars drop, or a gate open, or door open. Sometimes and each orb has like a power. So like the orange orb can kind of, depending on what part of the ground you can make like a hologram bridge. The green orb that I have um can turn pillars into water, or water into pillars, so you can like swim up them to get on top of something and then make them solid, and then it makes so you can stand on it. And then I just unlocked the purple orb. I haven't started messing with that yet. I don't know how many orbs you get. I think it's only 3. From what I understand, it's a pretty short game. It's only about 4 hours ish. But it looks killer. It's a lot of fun. There isn't much story going on in it, which is fine. As someone who's narratively driven, if the gameplay is pretty good, I'll give that a pass. But it's like this weird, buggy, uh, organic slash tech, like cybernetic tech world. Everything has like this weird, like either really organic look or really high tech look. So I don't know. It's just been very interesting, really, to play so far. Some of the puzzles you'll see on the stream, they start to get pretty challenging. They ramp up. I haven't had to look up a guide yet. I have heard that some people have had to look up a guide to get through some of the puzzles, which, no shame in that. But I will say, as someone who isn't like the best at puzzle games, so far I haven't had to look anything up, so that's cool. Um, but I'm really enjoying it. I haven't played it in handheld mode yet. I think I'm going to take tomorrow, because I usually get into work like about a half hour early. I think I'm going to see if I could try to take my Switch into work tomorrow, and play it like in that little half hour before I clock in, and then maybe during my lunch, or maybe tonight, I'll see if I can maybe play some in handheld mode, just to see how it runs, in a handheld mode. Um, but yeah, the art style is really cool. Each world is pretty awesome. Like the orange world is like more of like a desert world, and the green world is like more of uh like a water based, like swampy type ish world. And then the purple world, which I just got to, seems like it's like more of like an underground ish world. This will all make sense if you go back and watch the stream. Like I said, it's up on the Black Box channel, on the YouTube channel. But it'll make more sense if you look at that, because it's really hard to kind of explain this game. The fun thing is just warping in and out of the worlds, and like I said, pulling some Inception shit and taking another world into a world with you. So it's like a world within a world, and it'll actually show you on the orb. Like your green orb will have a tiny orange orb inside of it right in the center to show you, hey, you stored the orange one inside it. And sometimes you have to do that to solve puzzles. Sometimes you've got to pull certain ones out, put them in. Yeah, though, it's just really fun so far. It's been a really nice change of pace to play something a little bit more puzzly. Because I really haven't had a chance to do that since like season. Which season wasn't really puzzly, it was just more scrapbooky. But um as somebody who like their two favorite kind of, I guess, genres of games would be JRPGs, and then I just love a variety of indie games. This is definitely scratching that indie itch for sure, because like I said, I feel like I haven't played enough of them this year. Um because I've just spending so much time on, Final Fantasy. Let's be real, Final Fantasy 16 took up a good chunk of my year, uh to be expected. But yeah, so go ahead, check that out on the Black Box channel. I also still have a early gameplay demo of Mortal Kombat 1, and on the channel as well. My wife has actually been playing some of the towers of that, and I would like to check out maybe the conquest mode. I think that's what it's called, in Mortal Kombat. Not to jump back to Mortal Kombat too much, but I want to kind of check that mode out, and see what that is all about, and kind of check that out. And then yeah, other than that though, I really haven't been playing a ton outside of those two games. Chipping away more at Persona 5 in my own time, but that was just more for me because I've been playing that. But I guess with that, we can go ahead and just get into the news if that sounds good to y'all. All right, bit of good news. Last week was a bit of a bummer. But this week we have a little bit of, starting off with a little bit of retribution, I would say, from a story from a few weeks ago. This one comes from IGN. Unity CEO John Riccitiello steps down in wake of installment fee controversy. The article reads, in the wake of a massive controversy regarding previously announced and then walked back install fees, Unity's John Riccitiello is retiring as CEO, chairman, and president, CEO, chairman, and member of the board of directors, effective immediately, the company announced today. And then it just kind of goes into, how Unity came under fire on September 12th, when the company announced that it was going to charge what is called a runtime fee, a new model that would, in short, see developers charge a small fee when someone downloads a game made on their engine, once the game passes a certain revenue install account threshold. Developers in the game community at large were quick to push back, however, with some considering delisting their games over the fee. Yeah, so I mean, we all kind of talked about this in a previous episode. Uh and it doesn't surprise me. I mean, there's no way to walk this back. The damage has kind of been done. Uh and the next story will kind of deal with that. Like, even though they walked it back and said that they're not gonna, oh, we're not starting this policy until next year, yada yada yada. It just, like I said, too little, too late. It's, you know, is what it is. And John Riccatello has been trying to get blood from a stone for a while. So it really, really, really does not surprise me that in the wake of all this, they he stepped down. And kind of going on the piggyback of that, this next one comes from Eurogamer. Browser's going a little slow here. There we go. Slay the Spire developer pledges to ditch Unity unless controversial charges plan is reversed. I believe this has been updated. This comes from Eurogamer, but Slay the Spire studio Megacrit has said that it will cut ties with Unity if it does not completely revert plans to change developers with their download. Megacrit pledged to ditch Unity as the engine for its next game, a project it has already poured 2 years into work, if Unity does not back down over its hugely popular decision. The quote here is, despite the immense amount of time and effort our team has already poured into the development of our new title, we will be migrating to a new engine unless these changes are completely reverted. We have never made a public statement before. This is how badly you fucked up. And this is exact words from the Megacrit Twitter account. And they use the term fuck up. We've kind of talked about already how, what was it, last week, that one game, God, I'm already forgetting it, the Wipeout clone. They're already not working on their Switch port. So because of it, because of the whole Unity debacle, because they didn't walk it back enough, they walked it back a little, but they still plan on probably going forward with this. And let's be real. I mean, just because they're not doing it now, does that mean that they might still do this in the future? They totally could. Unity's trying to make money. And as I said on a couple of pods ago, Unity lost a bunch of military contracts. They were doing a bunch of like military, simulation development. And I believe a lot of those contracts either ended or they stopped, yada, yada, yada. But Unity's looking for a place to make money, but they're looking in all the wrong places. And, John Riccatello stepping down is part of that. Slay the Spire is a huge fucking game. It's massively, massively successful. So the fact that Megacrit is getting off of Unity, that's a big freaking big alarm bell for sure. To Unity and to everybody else, because Slay the Spire is probably one of the biggest indie card games out. Currently, I always, Slay the Spire came out a while ago, and I always still hear people talking about it. So the fact that they're just like, we're 2 years into development on our next game, but we don't give a fuck. We will leave this platform and go to Godot or go to Unreal or somewhere else if that means we don't have to deal with this bullshit from Unity. And, I don't blame them 100%. This next story comes from the PlayStation blog, and it was kind of everywhere all over Twitter. So this is kind of old news, and Twitter, Blue Sky, everywhere. The PlayStation 5 is getting a new, like a slim version for the holiday season. That's the best way I can describe it. If you look at this article here, and it's right on the PlayStation blog, it looks like you took the PS5 now and sucked some air out of it. The disk drive sticks out even more. But that is because the disk drive now is going to be removable. So if you buy the digital version, you can buy a disk drive for later. That was a reported rumor that we reported on earlier this year, that Sony was possibly thinking about doing an attachable and detachable disk drive. However, the digital edition originally, when the console launched, was $400, and they're raising the price to $449, so $50. The disc drive to buy separately will be another $80. Um, and it won't be coming with a vertical stand this time. If you have a PS5, you know that they have a stand that can be used both as a vertical and a horizontal stand. This time the stand on it. First of all, the stand for the for the regular PS5, the one that they have now is just a horizontal stand, and it looks like a fucking paperclip. I don't even understand how this thing can hold the weight of it. I guess if they've cut down on some weight, I could see it, but it doesn't look good. And then they're selling a vertical stand separately now for $30. So I'm looking at my PS5 right here, $500. When I got it brand new, came with a vertical stand, came with a disc drive, or came with a multi-purpose stand, I should say. Um, if I went with the digital edition, which was originally $400, couldn't get a disc drive. If you go with the digital edition now, or I should say, when these current models run out, they are only going to sell these models going forward. So if I was to buy a digital edition, it would be buying to have exactly what I have right now. The digital one at $450, then another $80 for the disc drive, then the vertical stand at $30. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. Also, I mean, $80 for a ultra Blu-ray drive, ultra HD Blu-ray drive. That seems real pricey because I'm pretty sure you can get those for about $40 to $50. Like if you were to buy one for like a computer or something like that. So charging 80 for it is a little much. Oh, I'm bearing the lead a little bit too here. It will come with a 1 terabyte hard drive, which the current PlayStation has like an 800 gigabyte some odd hard drive. So you get a little bit more hard drive space. But like, yeah, 450 plus another 30 plus another 80. Yikes. I don't know what they're thinking. They somehow made the PS5 look even worse, and I already hate the look of both consoles in general. Now I do kind of understand why they're doing this. Oh, okay. They got rid of yeah, I was just checking the front of my PS5. They did get rid of the USB-C or USB port in the front, and now it has 2 USB-C ports. So okay, there's that too. It says here they've reduced the volume by 30% and the weight by 18 and 24% compared to the previous models. I understand why they're doing this because they probably want to streamline their build process. That way, you know, they won't have as bad of supply constraints like they faced at the beginning of this generation. They can just make one style of PlayStation and then attach a drive to the ones that are going to come with a drive. But why would you, if you planned on buying a PS5 and a disc drive, why wouldn't you just buy the one that comes with the disc drive for $500? Because that one is still going to be $500. I guess I can see the use case of somebody being like, hey, I can buy the other one and then, you know, down the line get a drive if I want. But I don't know. This whole thing just seems real fucking dumb to me. And I'll say it again. Whoever came up with the designs of both the Xbox One or Xbox Series X and the PS5, I don't know what the fuck they were thinking, personally. Next one also comes from I've got it pulled up here on PlayStation Direct. They showed off more of the Access controller, which is their their accessibility controller, kind of similar to the one that Microsoft released early in the year. It basically looks like it has a joystick and then all the buttons around in a circle pad. All the buttons can be replaced and swapped around and moved. If you just look up the PlayStation Access controller, you can see it. Basically for people those who have like limited mobility and things like that. I'm taking a look at it right now. It is releasing for $89.99, which is $10, I believe $10 cheaper than the Microsoft one, which I believe is $100. But yeah, it says here adaptable play styles, a swappable button and stick caps, adjustable stick strength, and built for easy access. Custom profiles, configurable buttons, adjustable stick settings, expandable inputs. You can even lock the stick in place, it looks like. And yeah, in the box, it's going to come with the actual access controller, USB cable, 8 pillow button caps, which are attached to the controller, 4 flat button caps, 4 curved button caps, 2 overhang button caps, 1 wide flat button cap, uh, standard stick cap, dome stick cap, ball stick cap. So you can either have a dome, you could have the more concave style, or you can have an actual stick like your traditional like arcade stick. And then 23 tags. I'm guessing those are like stickers, so you can just basically mark them however you want. And then your typical safety guide. This looks pretty cool. For someone, I don't struggle with these issues, but I am getting older. I have noticed that my hands are starting to, because I do have a job where I type for a living, I don't do a lot of typing. I do a lot of copy and pasting. So it's a lot of Control C, Control V. And I've been noticing my hands are starting to get a little beat up a little bit. So the fact that they, have something like this in the works, that's really cool. I really, making things more accessible is a good thing, especially for people who might have limited mobility skills and things like that. So, bad for the PlayStation Slim. That looks stupid, but good on you, Sony, for putting this out and putting it at a relatively affordable price. The price of controllers keeps going up, so it doesn't surprise me that this one's a little bit more expensive. But hey, at least it's out there and it's at least under $100. I'll give them that. Next story comes from Polygon, and I'm not going to go too long into this, but basically, long story short, and we finally can stop talking about it, hopefully. The Microsoft acquisition of Activision Blizzard has finally officially 110% gone through. Microsoft announces that after 21 months, the deal has closed. Hot on the heels of the UK regulator giving the deal's formal seal of approval, Microsoft announced on October 13th that it had completed its acquisition of Activision Blizzard and was beginning the process of merging the publisher with Xbox. Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick will stay on until the end of 2023, which was kind of the next story. That fucking sucks because Bobby Kotick fucking sucks ass and has no charisma whatsoever and is also just a shitty person. And FTC has withdrawn its case for the merger, clearing the way. So the FTC has even thrown in the towel on trying to fight it. This fucking sucks. But we've been saying it for months now that we don't think that this was gonna stop. Once it kind of started, the ball started rolling, and we saw kind of where the chips were falling. We kind of saw that this was going to happen. And then, Bobby Kotick staying on. It looks like he's going to be staying on until the end of 2023, which luckily is only a few more months. So hopefully after a few more months, I mean, he's going to get a golden parachute. Let's be real. He's probably going to be fine. But getting him the fuck out of Activision Blizzard, especially after all of the allegations of workplace malpractice, sexual harassment, yada, 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 that he has basically let slide under his watch. I just hope that he doesn't end up on a board or something else. I just hope they just give him his fucking severance package, because he's going to get a severance package, a very nice severance package, and just send him the fuck on his way. And I hope we never hear from that asshole again, quite personally. And then let's see, kind of piggybacking on the back of this comes from Video Games Chronicle. Activision Blizzard says it expects to start adding its games to Game Pass in 2024. Almost 2 years after the deal was first announced, Microsoft reportedly expects to close its $69 billion, yada, yada, yada. While Microsoft said it plans to offer as many Activision Blizzard games as we can with Xbox Game Pass and PC Game Pass, both new titles and games from Activision's incredible catalog, this isn't going to happen straight away. As we continue to work towards regulatory approval of the Microsoft deal, we've been getting some questions whether our upcoming and recently launched games will be available on Game Pass. While we do not have plans to put Modern Warfare 3 or Diablo 4 into Game Pass this year, once the deal closes, we expect to start working with Xbox to bring our titles to more players around the world. And we anticipate that we would begin adding games into the Game Pass rotation sometime in the course of next year. We kind of expected this, and that is a big, big, big fucking get. It like I said, not happening right away, but I mean, let's face it, Call of Duty is still a huge banger. Diablo still does very well. Is still doing very well. If those games start showing up on Microsoft Game Pass, PC Game Pass, hell, what if World of Warcraft showed up on PC Game Pass? Like within the next couple months. That would be fucking huge for Microsoft. And just another feather in the cap for Game Pass. Like I said, as much as I have my preference of being on, having Sony as my first console and then my Nintendo Switch, that only comes from the type of games that I like to play. If you were a new gamer coming to me tomorrow and told me, Chase, what is the most bang for your buck? What should I do as somebody who's been out of video games for a while? I would straight up tell them, get yourself an Xbox and get yourself Game Pass, because Game Pass is already such a killer fucking deal. Bethesda games are coming to that now because they bought Bethesda. I don't think Skyrim's on it yet, but I believe Oblivion's already on there. So they're slowly adding the games. I think the Wolfenstein games are on there. So expect Activision games to follow suit. I could see the Tony Hawk game, last Tony Hawk 1 and 2 remake popping up on there. So yeah, I would be stupid to not recommend somebody who just wants to get a box and not spend a whole lot of money, get yourself an Xbox and subscribe to Game Pass, because then you just have all these fucking games that you can try at no risk. And every new Microsoft first-party game is Game Pass day one. There's a lot of indie games that are Game Pass day one. So as soon as they launch, you can just download them. And if that happens with the next few Activision titles, like they said, it's not going to happen right away. That's just a no-brainer. I say all the time, I wish Sony would follow suit and have something similar. Their offerings in comparison fucking suck. I'm actually about to end my base Sony subscription because they're going to charge $80 for it just to play online and just to have 2 free games a month. And I'm sorry, the 2 to 3 free games a month that Sony have been offering lately have been trash, 100%. The only reason I still had it was because I would get like a $60 card every year to renew it. But now that like it's going up to $80, I'm not getting that again. I'll get the Nintendo online membership for my Switch, and at least I'll get Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Game Boy Advanced, and Nintendo 64 games for $50 for a year. That's worth it to me. You can't even get the entire PlayStation catalog on there. There's some PS1 games, some PS2 games, some PS3 games, but they're not the good ones. They're not any of the ones that you want. So bravo Xbox, they outplayed, like straight up. There's really nothing much to say about that. They're killing it on that front. This next one kind of coming from thegamer.com, kind of a weird website, but it was the only one that I could find a credible source. Not a huge story, but apparently in an email, or it was in a staff meeting, Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick started talking about the resurgence of Guitar Hero. But then I learned that, and then this is in this article, and then I learned that Kotick somehow also believes that AI will be what resurrects the series. He reiterated the sentiment yesterday, saying that Microsoft will allow Activision to tap into their AI and machine learning capability, and the reemergence of Guitar Hero and other things would not be possible without different types of resources. That would fucking suck. It looks like they were saying that they would might use AI for like the note charting, but I don't even know how you'd fucking use that. This is another thing that I just think Bobby Kotick needs to fucking go. Everything he's been doing has just been stupid for a long fucking time. He just needs to go 100%. Next one comes from Rock Paper Shotgun. Disney's boss was urged to buy EA or a company like it, according to reports. Let's see. This comes from a new Bloomberg feature on the current state of House of Mouse, as VGC notes. Iger is no stranger to big purchases of this nature. Now, in his second run as CEO, he oversaw the acquisition of Pixar, Marvel Entertainment, Lucasfilm, and the 21st Century Fox during his original tour of Disney. Disney have published their own games in the past, but have effectively came to an end in 2016 with the closure of the Disney Infinity Studio Avalanche. EA recently published several games based on Disney-owned franchises, in particular Respawn's Star Wars Jedi series. Disney staff are urging CEO Bob Iger to acquire major game companies such as Deluxe Paint and Shaq Fu publisher Electronic Arts. This seems like a bad fucking idea, considering that, it just said later in this article that they got into games in 2016 and got out. Disney has a history of getting into games and then getting out. I'll even go as far as to say, one of my beloved franchises, Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 were great because they allowed Square Enix to play with the IP, because Disney was a lot more fast and loose back then. We're talking 2004. Then by the time Kingdom Hearts 3 came around, which was 2017, 2018, something like that. You can look it up. All the Disney worlds were so cut and dry, copy paste what exactly happened in the movie, instead of being able to intertwine the Final Fantasy stuff, that the best parts of Kingdom Hearts were in the last hour of the game that involved none of the fucking Disney characters outside of Donald, Mickey, and Goofy. So if Disney gets into buying EA, I could see them. It's not going to make EA better. As much as we've talked shit about EA for, almost a decade, it's not going to make EA better. Disney is going to buy them up if they do. This is still an if. Put out some games under them, realize they're not meeting expectations, and then sell them off to somebody, and then EA is no longer going to be independent. Now, using the word EA and independent in the same sentence is a little fucking weird, but EA does own themselves. So it would be very weird to see them sold off to Embracer or Take-Two or, somebody else. I don't like this at all. I really hope it doesn't happen. And yeah, no. Next one comes from Polygon. Telltale cuts jobs at U.S. studio and newly acquired Flavorworks. Let's see. The Wolf Among Us developer Telltale Games confirmed layoffs at the company due to market conditions, that they use in quote, but said all its development projects are still in the works. Due to current market conditions, we regrettably had to let some of our Telltale team go recently. We did not take this action lightly, and our commitment to storytelling and finding new ways to do so remains the same. We are grateful to everyone for their dedication along this journey, and we are working to support everyone impacted. All projects are currently still in development, and we have no updates at this time. Yeah, I can't remember all of them, but there were so many different projects in development over at Telltale. They had The Expanse, Wolf Among Us, the Telltale Batman game, the Walking Dead game. They were, personally, my take is that they were spreading themselves super fucking thin, and just buying up or making all these different licensing deals, but then not really having anything to show for it, because everything really just slowed down from them. So it sucks. I hope everybody lands on their feet. Yeah. This next one comes from Kotaku. Cyberpunk 2077 developers call unions a stronger voice in times of crisis. A new Polish union for game developers opens up after rounds of layoffs at CDPR. As international gaming industry faces wave after wave of layoffs, workers at Cyberpunk 2077 and the Witcher developer CD Projekt Red have created a new Poland-wide union aimed at protecting their rights. This arrives in the face of the massive studio announcing that it would be firing 9% of its staff by March of 2024. Round of applause. Because I think it's fucking ridiculous that a developer the size of CD Projekt Red that has Witcher money coming in, and as much as like I wasn't the biggest fan of Cyberpunk, that game has really turned itself around, that they're facing layoffs when they have all that money coming in. I don't think they get any money from the Witcher TV show. So that isn't them, but still, good on them. We've said multiple times on this podcast, Dustin, myself, even Brandon, who isn't even the most pro-union guy, even he has been saying things like, we need a union, or these developers need a union, because the way that this industry is, this relying so much on contract workers and how quickly people can be laid off at these, it's a fucking disgrace. It's stupid. And these people deserve to, make living wages and not have to worry about if a project doesn't sell the best that they're going to lose their job. It's really disgusting that this space has become this place that like one bad hit can doom your entire studio. And yeah, and like I said, I've been hearing good things about Cyberpunk turning itself around. But that just came out. That was long after these, I mean, not long after, but months after these layoffs. So, good on you. Good on you, CDPR. Or CPD. I can't. CD Project Red. That's what I'll say. I probably said it right, but yeah, good on you. Bravo. We're flying through these stories here, so this is probably gonna be a little bit of a shorter episode, y'all. I'm not good at bantering by myself. Let's be real. This one comes from Game Informer, kind of a follow-up to the X Defiant delay. Ubisoft indefinitely delays X Defiant preseason launch. Ubisoft revealed its fast-paced firefights meets punk rock mosh pits first-person shooter Tom Clancy's X Defiant in 2021. Side note, I don't understand what Tom Clancy being dead for how long now. I understand that like people still license out his estate, but calling anything Tom Clancy's blah 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 at this point just breaks my fucking brain. The team announced on Twitter yesterday, and this article was actually written on the 10th, so take that with a grain of salt. Was announced revealing that the public test session was a success, but highlighted some inconsistencies in the game experience it wants to address before the preseason launch. As such, the preseason launch has been delayed to a later unspecified date. The exact tweet actually says, thank you for everyone who participated in our recent public test session and continue to stand alongside as we build X Defiant. The PTS once again showed us your appreciation for the fast-paced gunplay, uniquely crafted maps, and objective-driven modes, and iconic faction roster. That's me falling asleep. But it also surfaced some inconsistencies of the game experience. This is just repeating kind of what that. You can see the tweet though on X Defiant's site. It's pretty much an indefinite delay because they didn't give it another date. Again, I think the shooter market is just oversaturated. Unless you do something new nowadays, I mean, I used to be a huge shooter guy. I was big into Halo. I was big into Call of Duty. But unless you're doing something now that actually does something different, like the Battle Royals that came out. I hate Fortnite, but I will give it to Fortnite. Actually, I will give it to PUBG because PUBG was the one that came with it first. That style of shooter, that Battle Royale style shooter, and then now later on with Tarkov, with the extraction style shooter, that was a way to change the game, and now those games are doing well. But those games have even gotten oversaturated. We've got PUBG, we've got Fortnite, we have Apex, we have Call of Duty Warzone. On the extraction side, we have Escape from Tarkov. We have, oh, what is it? Oh, it's that Call of Duty one. DMZ, that's what it's called. We have all of those right now. I just don't you got to do something. There's got to be some sort of enticing hook to get you into a shooter nowadays, and I'm just not seeing it. That's why I fell out of them. It was the same shit, different coat of paint. I feel the same way about, and I'm gonna get maybe a little attack for this from my buddy Hat and Beard. Check out his channel if you're into football. But I feel the same way about Madden, and maybe he does too. I feel that unless there's big significant changes every year to Madden, I feel like that could just be a simple update to the roster, or you pay $10 to $15, maybe $20, maybe even $30, but at that point you're pushing it to just do some update changes to add some players in, add some roster updates, and things like that. Unless you're making really significant changes, and I feel the same way about Call of Duty. Warzone is now free. They roll each version of Warzone into the next one. And that's super smart. Super smart because it keeps Warzone free and it allows the new stuff to still roll in. But they could easily charge for that update. And charge less for that update. I don't get it. I don't know. I hate to be somebody in the year 2023 tasked with making a first-person shooter. I don't know what you do with it anymore. Unless it's like a story-driven one like Doom. But even, I'll be honest, the last Doom I wasn't the biggest fan of. It was just okay. Wolfenstein, again, but these are all story-driven. I don't come to Wolfenstein for the shooting. The shooting isn't honestly that great in Wolfenstein. I don't come there for that. I come there for the story. Doom has good shooting, but they kind of dropped the ball with their last story too. So I don't know, and the multiplayer mode in Doom is kind of meh. So I don't really know what you would do with a first-person shooter. I'm not a game developer. I tried to be a game developer and it didn't work out. I don't know what you would do with a new game in 2023. Next one comes from Video Games Chronicle, kind of piggybacking off the Ubisoft stuff. Ubisoft executive says physical sales may continue to fall, but they're not going away. There's a collector's edition market, the Ubisoft sales, strategic partners, and business development. It looks like he's like a sales executive. There's an aspect of gifting physical items and allowing access for people to be able to easily purchase a game in store and gift them to their friends and family. Some people will always want to own the physical disc. I just don't think it's going to go away. Do I think the physical sales might get lower over time? Sure, but it will never completely go away. I don't think so. I'm kind of happy somebody said this because a lot of people, even in the games journalist space, are kind of like they're definitely on the board of like moving away from digital, or moving away from physical. But as somebody who like these consoles aren't shipping with enough hard drive space to download games. A lot of these games are 80 gigs to 100 gigs a piece at a times, and our hard drives are barely hitting a terabyte. Yes, you can put other hard drives in it, but there are just some people, like I haven't put a new hard drive in my PS5 yet. There are some people that aren't going to want to do that. Straight up. Bandwidth caps in certain regions. Broadband internet not being available everywhere. There's just some downsides to digital still. It is not a completely solved issue. And then you have the collector's market. Now, I'm a collector. Do I buy every game physical? No. There's a lot of indie games that I buy that are digital. There's a lot of bigger games that I buy that are digital. However, for games that my games that I love, your Final Fantasies, your Kingdom Hearts, your Personas, Nier, those are all games that I still like to physically own. Especially because, collector's editions, yada, 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 what he was talking about. But sometimes they're not even collector's editions. Sometimes they're standard editions. I still like to own physical games. I also still like the big games that take up a lot of hard drive space. I like to also still own the game because it doesn't, at least as far as I understand, still does not take up as much space on your hard drive than downloading the entire game. I could be wrong on that. Correct me in the comments on the YouTube, when this posts on YouTube. There's a possibility that I'm wrong on that, but still, I still love my physical games. This comes off the back of Best Buy announcing this week that they're going to stop selling physical movies and things like that. And I know it's gonna go, but if it gets there eventually, I'm there. But I just don't think we're there yet. I feel like we should be there by now because this has been going on forever. But again, between the hard drive space, bandwidth speeds, the download speeds being just slower on console, even if like I can download the same size game faster on my PC than I can on my console, even though I have 300 megabyte down, 300 up. I have fiber, so it. I'm glad at least somebody's saying something that he's like he doesn't want to do away with it yet. That makes me feel a little happy, if I'm being honest. Last three stories here. Redfall finally gets 60 frames per second mode on console in its biggest update yet. After months of silence, the vampire shooter Redfall is receiving its biggest update yet, following a disastrous launch back in May. The second biggest patch will add the Game Pass multiplayer games long-awaited 60 frames per second mode on the Xbox Series X and S, as well as a host of gameplay improvements and bug fixes. If you don't remember, Redfall was the Bethesda vampire shooter that launched. And it's probably one of the worst games to it's right here. The worst Xbox exclusive of 2023 is finally getting fixed. And yeah, that game was super buggy at launch. It didn't even run at 60 frames, which is pathetic in the year of our Lord 2023. If you can't hit 60 frames, I guess I'm going to be a little bit of a hypocrite there because Final Fantasy didn't always hit 60 frames, 16, but at least hit it most of the time. But if you're a shooter and you can't hit 60 frames, that's a problem. You need to be able to hit 60 frames, especially if you're a shooter in 2023. I feel like that's not a hard ask at this point. This next one comes from Video Games Chronicle, and this just feels like the perfect cherry on top of the cake for this game. Allegedly, ChatGPT was used to write the Gollum game apology. In interviews with the German gaming outlet Game2, several former Daedalic staff members have spoken for the first time about what went wrong with the critically panned licensed game. They apologized for delivering what called an underwhelming experience with the final game. The company said, "We deeply regret that the game did not meet expectations and pledged to improve its features." It is now claimed that the apology was written with the AI software ChatGPT, according to two sources speaking to Game2. That is just hilarious. If you don't remember, early in the year, we talked about how Gollum was probably the worst game launch of the year. It looked horrible. I don't know who this game was for. I don't know who in their right mind would want to play as Gollum when it came to anybody that you could pick to play in the Lord of the Rings universe. Gollum is the last character I want to play as. The fact that game was awful, looked awful, ran awful, played awful, and then your apology letter, you couldn't even spend the time to actually come up with your own apology letter on Twitter. You had a fucking software. You can't make this shit up. You can't make this fucking shit up. It is just hilarious. It is indicative of everything that went wrong with that game. And I just can't help but laugh at it. It is fucking hilarious. And then the very last story here. And this is more just kind of a fun one. The Animal Crossing Legos were announced a while back. Well, they finally just launched the sets, or showed the sets that says coming soon. I don't see myself getting these, but I could totally see my daughter getting these. The sets range anywhere from, it looks like, the cheapest one being $14.99 all the way up to $74.99. We have, let's see, Bunny's Outdoor Activities, and this comes directly from the Lego website, by the way. Bunny's Outdoor Activities for $19.99. Captain's Island Boat Tour at $29.99. Nook's Cranny and Rosie's House for $74.99. Of course, Tom Nook's shop would be the most expensive. Isabel's House visit for $39.99 and Julian's birthday party for $14.99. So yeah, just wanted to end it on like a little bit of a good note here. A smaller story. It looks like these are coming out in about, let's see, they actually have a countdown timer here. I'm not going to do the whole thing, but in 137 days, these will start launching. So yeah, if you're big into Animal Crossing, there you go. Get yourself some Animal Crossing Legos. We have some Mario Legos at the house that my daughter has not put together yet. But yeah, I don't see me really diving down to get Animal Crossing Legos. Especially because I wasn't the biggest fan of the last game. It was all right. But I kind of felt New Leaf was a little bit better than New Horizons, personally. And yeah, bit of a shorter one this week. That's all I got for you. I don't have any emails this week. But I do plan on getting back to streaming. I think I am going to stream more of Final Fantasy 1. Hopefully finish that on stream this week. Oh no, I am sorry. This week, as I said, is going to be the week off. With school for the kids and Dustin's wedding coming up, I'm taking the week off this week. So next weekend, so 2 weekends from now, I hope to be back with a stream, and I'll be back with an episode. I will probably get back to streaming Final Fantasy 1. Maybe I'll stream the Conquest mode of Mortal Kombat, and see what that's all about. That might be a little bit fun. But yeah, Dustin, if you hear this, I hope we have a killer time at your fucking wedding, dude. You deserve it. You're an awesome dude. I appreciate everything you fucking do for the show. Stepping up the plate, kind of coming on, especially in the middle of planning a wedding. The fact that you offered to step up to fill Brandon's shoes. I can't thank you enough. I really can't. So love you, man. Let's have a fun weekend next weekend. With that, you can follow everything we do at _BlackBoxSignal on Twitter and YouTube. You can get us on Twitch at twitch.tv/BlackBoxSignal. Email us at blackboxsignalpodcast@gmail.com. You can find me on chasing_chase on Twitter and Chasing Chase TV on Twitch. chasingchase.bsky.social on Blue Sky, and we are Black Box Signal on .bsky.social. So yeah, until next time, as always, stay safe, comrades.